goes into the metal. I used to watch at the blacksmith, and he'd take a piece of metal, and I won't use your watch, did it? Plunge it into the fire, and he'd pull it out, and it was red at the end. Then he'd put it back and turn up the bellows, and before long, you'd look in the furnace, you can't tell one from the other. Not only does the metal enter into the fire enters the metal. You see, we've sung, many of us, for many years, there's room at the cross for you, forget it. I changed that. I have a little card. I've sent it all over the country. Not there's room at the cross for you, there's room on the cross. The trouble, most of us have never been crucified. I remember dear Dr. Tozer said, one thing he knew about a man going down the street carrying a cross, he's not coming back. It's a one-way ticket. Well, David, I want to tell you this morning I was richly blessed. I couldn't follow you very much all the way. Because just when you put a piece of metal in the fire, and the fire enters the metal, and then you strike it, sparks fly off in every direction. I preached in a conference to preachers. One of the best-known authors and preachers in America was there, and he said, God really spoke in that meeting. I said, how do you know? Because it was, while you were saying one thing, the Spirit was saying another to me. Well, I was doing the same thing. There's a little tattered book here. See this beautiful book? It's nearly as old as me. That's why it's falling apart. I was going to say I won't sell you it for $100. I was going to say I'll sell you it for $1,000 and give the money to missions. But a man came in my office and he looked down, he saw a book. He said, I wanted that book for years. I said, I brought that from England. I said, well, you can't have it for $100. I'll sell you it for $1,000. Oh. He grabbed his wallet and wrote me a check for $5,000. I've still got some books for sale. But I gave the book to missions. This is an old Methodist hymn book. I've taken it around the world. I read some of it every day. But there's a book at the back. Jack has some, I think. Where's Jack? Raise your hand, Jack. Good. Do you have Dr. Tozer's book? I can't hear. Oh. Well, you can get Dr. Tozer's book. It has many of the hymns that are found in this book. Dr. Tozer's book is called the Christian's Book of Mystical Verse. He's gathered lots and lots of hymns. I'm saying this, let me split it right here. When David was talking about worship, I remember going to a town called Bradford. I never went for 3-day meetings. There are churches in England standing today that we started 60 years ago. We went to towns, took a tent, slept in the tent, ate in the tent, prayed in the tent, fasted in the tent. Walked from city to city. Wesley left London to go north to Newcastle. Came back to London, went to Bristol. He rode it on horseback. I didn't have a horse, so I walked it. I walked it with 5 other young men. For 3 years we walked through England, 22 to 25, 4 miles a day. Now I can hardly walk across the room. But I'd do it again if I could. But we went to Bradford. I remember going to Bradford for this reason. They made the best cloths there, and I was in the clothing business, at least I was a tailor. And while we were there, we met one of the world's most wonderful men, Smith Wigglesworth. Any of you ever read about Smith Wigglesworth? Boy, any of you ladies pregnant, be careful. He was in a meeting one day, not far from my home, and here's a woman, obviously something wrong with her, had a great big tummy. So he went down while the people were singing, he shouted in her ear, are you pregnant? Oh no. What about this? I've got a big ulcer. A tumour. A big tumour. A tumour. It's growing and growing. Smithfield says, shut your eyes. And he punched her in the belly like that. He said, you're healed. Or she'd either healed or dead. It didn't worry him a bit. He's going down the street with a few of his friends in France, and a boy comes through the garden gate, and he stepped back. A little fella had a terrible well, I had a stroke a while ago which interfered with my with my voice, and this little boy had a terrible, he couldn't speak, and he said, Lord, don't let these men speak to me. Everybody makes fun of me. Smith Wigglesworth had never seen the kid in his life. And he comes up and says, son, come here. Little boy came forward and said, speak! And he talked right away. We could do with him around right now. With so much fake healing, it'd be nice to have some faith healing. Okay. I went to Bradford. There I met this wonderful man. But then a lady came to our meetings. Oh, mercy. She needed oil of Olay from her head to her feet. She was on the front row when noses were given out. She had a nose like a banana. I've often said she couldn't win a beauty competition in a crocodile farm. And to my amazement, she said at the end of the meeting, and she had a horrible voice. Boy, I thought she'd made up all the way round. And she just said, will you come to my house for some tea? I said, yes. So we went to her house. I can't forget it. You wouldn't give her $10 for everything in the house. And then she said what I wanted her to say. Let us pray. So we knelt down at this wooden table. She had a little room to live in. She had a bed over the bath in the toilet. She had a kitchen stove in the toilet. And she lived in that little cubicle kind of thing. And she began to pray. Boy, I got hold of that table. I felt as though I was in the upper room. And somebody said to me, this woman does nothing but pray. I thought of that while you were preaching this morning, David, because I heard a man talking about some things David said this morning, just kind of nailed down what I've been saying during the week. One thing, since this is Saturday afternoon, 80 years ago today, I went to a Methodist Bible study with my mother, precious praying woman. I'd never forgotten that. I can tell you the names of dozens of men. They'd tell you they know me. And they asked me, do you know so-and-so? No. Well, he preached with you. Or you had made dinner with him. Well, I don't know him. Are you getting old? Yeah. Why don't you know him?